What's something that will F you up for life if you experience it just once? Nothing in life prepares you for caring for an ailing/dying parent. It is an absolute heartbreaker and mindfuck. I did it and it negatively changed my personality. I see sad more than I see happy now. I'm working on it though. I'm sending good vibes and sweet juju to anyone else out there who is doing this. Much love and support to you. I witnessed my parents dying slowly in a 10-month span. My mother in 2021 and father in 2022. No matter how you think you are prepared for it, it will break something in you. However, you can't choose what happens to you, only how you react. Trust me, as long as you don't give up, things will get better. The moment your grandma, grandpa, dad, or mom doesn't remember who you are after suffering from Alzheimer's or some other similar disease. My grandma had a stroke in early 2020 and has been in a nursing home ever since. I didn't see her for 2 years straight because of COVID, and the last time I saw her, she had no idea who I was. She practically raised me because she worked at the preschool I went to and picked me up from school every day and stayed at my house until my parents got home late from work. I can tell she is near the end of her life. Never take it personally when someone with dementia doesn't remember you. They will often return to a childlike state of mind and only remember their parents, and sometimes their grandparents and siblings. When dementia sets in, only their very long-term memory is in place. It doesn't mean you didn't make an impact on them. It simply means you weren't alive yet at the point they're at in their memory. What matters is their quality of life, and if they seem distressed or depressed, discuss it with the nurse. My mom got murdered in 2006, and it sucked whatever. But what was astronomically worse was dealing with the justice system and sitting through 2 different trials just to have one lead to a non-guilty verdict, and for the other guilty verdict to be overturned during sentencing due to a failure on the part of my local PD. Totally soul-crushing. Having to see autopsy photos, hearing family members testify, watching the defense tear apart a dead woman's character, and having to sit in a small room with a potential killer and his family and kids and stuff. So crazy. There's something backwards in the world currently when the worst part about a loved one being murdered is dealing with the legal system. Much love, friend. My girlfriend just died suddenly 4 days after my birthday, on Christmas Eve, and 2 weeks before our 13th anniversary. I did CPR on her for 8 minutes with blood coming out of her mouth. After the ambulance left, there were trails of her blood to the door. She had an undiagnosed heart condition and went into cardiac arrest after running errands on a normal day. I'm usually a pretty grounded person, but I have not been able to get off the couch since. She was only 31. Having to make the choice to turn life support off on your 26-year-old wife over 30 years ago, and just thinking about it rips my guts out. Update. Thank you all. Someone once told me, you have no control over the things that happen to you in life. What you do control is what you do with those things. You alone can choose whether or not you allow them to make you more compassionate and loving or turn you hard and bitter. Love you guys. A serious stroke. Grandma went from being fiercely independent to completely bedbound in less than 24 hours. Death of a child. My sister died of suicide in 2021. I'm my mother's only child now, and I hate my life. My family is broken. My only sibling is gone, and my mother is here, but she is not here. I constantly feel crushed with despair. I'm so sorry to all the parents who have lost their children. Holding your father's hand as they turn off life support. Psychosis really fucked me up. Childhood abuse and domestic violence. A felony, even non-violent. Even 10 years ago, it never goes away. Finding a dead body. My neighbor committed suicide with a shotgun to the mouth in his truck across the street from where I was living at the time. Considering the close proximity, I never heard a thing. It happened overnight, so I can only assume everyone slept through it somehow. I went to get into my car to go to work that morning and just happened to notice that something seemed off as I saw the windows of his truck. Unfortunately, I got a little closer and realized what I was looking at. 20 years later, and that image has never left my memory. He was a super nice guy. I hoped he found peace wherever he ended up. And please, if you are struggling with mental health issues, reach out to someone. In the USA, call or text 988 to reach the suicide hotline. Sexual abuse. Have both a parent and a sibling odd and die 5 years apart. The latter happening in my bedroom when I wasn't even there. Being diagnosed with a personality disorder and it suddenly hitting you that you have always been the problem. Being cheated on by someone you trust and love completely. You may move on. You may find someone that's more worthy of your attention and love. But that betrayal will always be a part of you. Watching someone die from cancer. My mom took care of her best friend when she got stage 4 lung. Spread to all of her internal organs. Me and my sister would go over to her house every day while my mom took care of her. It literally sucked the life out of her like a juice box. A couple months in I realized she was going to die. I was relieved when my mom told me she died. I was in 4th grade. I don't look at death like normal people. I just don't want to suffer. In my early 20s I watched a good friend fight cancer and eventually lose his battle after a couple years. Before he was diagnosed, I remember him first telling me about how he was having problems feeling dizzy and the doctors thinking it was vertigo. The surgery to remove his brain tumor was supposed to be simple, but there was a complication with swelling that ended up paralyzing him from the waist down. He had to relearn how to speak. Among all that, they found the tumor was malignant. The next couple years were rough as he went through treatment after treatment. Things looked promising at one point, but the call I got from him after he learned that it had spread to his spine, he could barely get the words out as he sobbed, "I'm done. I'm not gonna make it." I can still hear those words. He didn't live to see 24. I was at work when I learned he finally passed just a few weeks after that call. I sat at my desk in shock and then went to the bathroom to bawl my eyes out. Just a horrifying thing to watch someone go through. Childhood abuse/neglect. Psychologically speaking, infidelity. I've never been the same since. My ex-husband cheated on me like 6 or 7 times, and that's just the times when it was unquestionably cheating. But what was worse than the actual cheating was the fact that he confessed all of it to me over the course of like 7 years. First confession happens in 2013. We work it out. Time passes and he tells me he kissed another woman at the bar. So, cheating, but not like full on sex. I get pissed, but we move on. Then starting in about 2015, he starts just randomly confessing things to me. For the next 2 years he would continue to drop these "I need to tell you something" bombs. Because he was suddenly consumed with guilt due to severe anxiety. At that point we had been married 10 years and had 2 kids. The confessions didn't start until my younger was 2 years old. And it was a lot of making out with other women, but not having full-on sex. The best was when he tried to frame this as somehow not cheating. And also it was my fault because we didn't have enough sex during the years I was pregnant. Gave birth to 2 children in 17 months, both of whom I breastfed. 18 months in tandem. I had PPD. But I didn't realize it. I also started working full-time for basically the first time ever when my second baby was only 8 weeks old. And he punished me for those years for so long. Only to then confess he'd been lying to me and trying to get with other girls since year 1 of our relationship. This has fucked me up to the point that I haven't gone to a therapist specifically for it because I don't even know what to tell the therapist I want out of therapy. I'm going to his second wedding later today. His about-to-be wife is the same age I was when I married him. She's wonderful. She's smart and kind, and I couldn't have dreamed of a better stepmom for my kids. And I also think she's making the biggest mistake of her life. Killing someone accidentally, like a car accident scenario. On YouTube there's a video of a Chevy Suburban going down a snow-covered highway, and obviously the car filming this has a dash cam. Off in the distance you see traffic coming your way. About that time the Suburban starts to fishtail ever so slightly. As the traffic approaches, the Suburban's fishtailing gets worse and worse until it gets completely sideways and goes into the path of the approaching traffic, and the lead vehicle is an 18-wheeler. It literally hit the Suburban so hard you see it in real time as it was happening. I guarantee there were no identifying pieces left of that Suburban to indicate what it was. The 18-wheeler's fuel tanks explode and goes off-road and comes to a stop. It chokes me up just describing this accident because there's no way anyone in that Suburban survived, and if the trucker survived he's probably still dealing with that. Losing somebody you are close to by suicide will destroy you. Edit. 988. If you are in the USA, or the following link has a list of crisis hotlines by country. http www.suicide.org/international suicide hotlines. Please keep going. Meth. I opened this thread thinking this would be top answer, particularly thinking of the redditor who tried it once to prove a point, and it made a huge impact on his life. I was rather naive, not realizing what the top comments actually were. Anorexia. It almost killed me, and although I recovered, sometimes I feel like I want to relapse. Old habits just wouldn't die. Strange. Being the person sitting there with someone as they take their last breaths and die, particularly if they've gone into death rattle, which is far worse than what people think. It's beyond awful. An angry bear. On coke. A bear did cocaine. Spontaneous H. Anyone. What is that? True love. Because you're just never the same after it. 3. This comment is so underrated. You think you've experienced it until you actually experience it, and then nothing after comes even remotely close. Infidelity. Crime scene photos of murdered children. 5 years of working criminal defense nearly broke me. My friend trained as an EMT and got a great job. He loved what he was doing right up to the day he responded to the house where the 3YO was found in the pool. Just watching the agony of the family fucked him up permanently. He got out of first responder and now works as a bartender. Being cheated on. That S stays with you in the back of your mind regardless of whether it was physical or emotional. It's happened to me in every single relationship I've been in since I started high school, except for my first boyfriend who I dated for just about / maybe just shy of a year. F sucks knowing I haven't been good enough for anyone yet. I just broke up with my boyfriend 3 days ago because I found out he was cheating. I do not feel bad about myself. It hurts. It sucks. It is the biggest disrespect. And he was too chicken shit to break up with me before doing what he did. But all of that had nothing to do with me. It's never because you're not good enough. If your partner is unhappy, it is their responsibility to talk to you about it. If your partner has feelings for someone else, it is their responsibility to tell you and break up with you if they wanted to pursue it. Do not let someone else's actions be a reflection of you. Cheaters are cowards, selfish and disrespectful. Those are things you and I will never be.